When you install 3ds Max, it comes with all the pre-settings which are standard to the American way of doing things, which is inches. So imperial. What we want to do is be able to open up everything in millimeters or metric every single time that we open up 3ds Max. To do that, we first need to go to the Customize tab and go to our unit setup. The unit setup over here allows us to set up the system unit setup and also your display unit setup. So the display unit setup can be different to the system unit setup. So for instance, you might have inches, but you want to display anything that you type in metric, millimeters, meters. So I actually want them both to be the same. System unit setup, I want 1 unit to be 1 millimeter. This also helps when importing in models from other programs, as what we are doing with Inventor. So if I create a model in Inventor and I have that in millimeters, if my system unit setup is in inches, then we are going to get some dialog boxes saying, would you like to keep either the system settings or you would like to revert the unit settings to what's actually being imported into 3ds Max, which would be millimeters instead of inches. Okay, so once I've set that up, then you can say what your display units are. So at the moment, we've got US standard. You can see that you've got quite a few different options over there if you are going to be using feet and inches. Then you've got your metric. So with your metric, millimeters, centimeters, meters, and kilometers. So depending how big your scenes are going to be. So for civil design, you want your scenes maybe to be in kilometers if you're going to be doing really long roads. Or if you're going to be doing more mechanical work, millimeters or centimeters, depending on what you're doing. I want to set mine up as metric over here. You can do custom settings as well, and then for your lighting units, you can have American or international. Okay, so that's set up our units. Then the next thing we want to do is the setup for our rendering. So currently what happens is if I've got an object in my view over here and I go to my render tab, render setup, you'll notice that my renderer is set to scanline renderer. So every single time that I open up in Revit, I open up 3ds Max, I put materials on my scenes. When I want to go render, I've got to go keep on changing that either to my art render if I want to use it, V-Ray, Arnold. V-Ray does not come with a standard installation of 3ds Max. That is an additional purchase as well. So if I wanted to do Arnold, for instance, I've got to go click on Arnold. This comes up and I've got to go put all my settings in for Arnold. So how do we change that? Okay, so anything under your render setup over here, under your comment tab, just go and scroll all the way to the bottom and you'll see there assign renderer. So with assign renderer, you can see there for production, I've got Arnold, which is I've just reset that over here. So if I go and put it back onto scanline, you'll see that it changes to scanline over there. So how do you set that up to be default as Arnold if you want to be using Arnold all the time or V-Ray? Under assign renderer, you select this little arrow over here, and then you go to your Arnold renderer. Okay, so for any production now, it's going to be Arnold. And for any active shade, you can say, let's do it Arnold as well. I wouldn't have Arnold and scanline over here, as the Arnold materials will not work with scanline renderer, and the scanline materials will not work with the Arnold renderer. So just remember that your materials in 3ds Max are intrinsically sort of linked to the renderer that is going to be used. Now, yes, I've changed this, but it hasn't set it as the default. So what I can do at the bottom, save as defaults, and it saves it as the default here, default save. So now what I can do is I can actually go and close that down. If I had to go and render now, and just go click on render, you'll see there it'll start to render. Colorful blocks are going in a spiral outwards as it renders over there. So if I file new all, just reset everything, go create the infamous teapot, just a plane to cast some shadows on. If I go to my render setup, you'll notice there that the default renderer now is set to Arnold. So I can just go select render, not having to go and rechange all my different settings, as well as in the meter. So those setup values have also been saved to the default. And that's how we're able to just quicken the steps to get into 3ds Max by changing your settings to be what you want every single time you start. And that's a small little introduction to setting up your templates, as it were, in 3ds Max. Thank you very much for watching.